40 years, congratulations.
Thank you.
Pretty amazing achievement, but tell me where it all began 40 years ago, because you've been doing it for 40 years, you've just not arrived here recently.
Correct. So we started the business, and it was all we did was PCB layouts. Mm-hmm. That's all we did, and we had CAD systems at the time. We got the business up to around 23 people, just doing layouts and drafting work. But then we kind of plateaued. So we did that a couple of years in a row. We started surveying our customers to see, is there another service? Is there something else you need? And everyone we talked to said assembly. If you could assemble, we would be interested. So, I didn't know anything about manufacturing, so I was like, okay, we'll go buy some machines and we'll have at it. But that didn't work out. I had gone to a seminar about how to do acquisitions. So we started looking for potential targets, and in 2005 we bought Patapsco Designs that was owned by Circuit City Stores, and they were going to just divest themselves of that, and so we ended up purchasing that, and it was a mess. It was a total mess. I was always under the impression that PCB layout, that's the tough part, right? Yeah. But you don't realize until you get into it how many variables are actually in manufacturing. So, we got put together a good team, and things started getting better, and our customers did give us the work that they had promised, and then I guess fast forward a bit more, 2012, we purchased from Fawn Industries, the North Carolina facility. It was the same thing. It was a larger company. They had a small division they just wanted to get rid of, and focus on, they were doing plastics, so they focused on the plastics. That was actually a pretty good company right out of the gate. It was well run. Kim Boykin was down there running things. He's still with us to this day, and he runs a really good organization. And then I guess the next big event was right after COVID, we purchased the factory up in Connecticut. Yeah. So that gives us our 3 locations, and that's how we got here. Yeah. But over 40 years, there was ups and downs, and tribulations, and
and huge changes in the industry. You look at the digital transformation of the whole process, but also you look at what's gone on geopolitically in that time, the amount of manufacturing that went overseas, how that's maybe starting to come back. You've seen a lot of tides ebb and flow in that time.
We have. There was a time, I guess probably the early 2000s, we thought everything was going to go offshore. And then you started hearing, little tidbits, maybe 2010, 2012, they're going to reshore, and that really never happened. So we just, we started focusing on more military and things like that, that is going to stay here in the States. Yeah, and it's good. It's good, solid work. It's profitable. It's going to stay here, and so that's what we focused on. But we have seen recently, especially since COVID, some companies coming back. Yeah.
And you have all the approvals for the defense stuff. You have ITAR and you have everything else, which is absolutely really valuable stuff. What other sectors are key to you now? Apart from defense?
We do a lot of industrial controls, things like that. We're actually dabbling in some energy stuff. Energy management for renewables. Okay. So it's how do you store that power, at nighttime or when the wind's not blowing. So there's seems to be a lot of money and effort being put into that right now. So we are seeing some of that. I guess the other one would be home chargers. We've had a couple of companies that are developing, their version of home chargers for electric cars.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the EV market, I think, is fascinating. It's it feels like it's stalling a tiny bit at the moment because the grants have maybe come to an end. But actually, the automotive industry is just using more and more electronics, whether it's internal combustion or EV. So it's, it's still a growing sector. It's still important.
It is, and I think it continues to grow. Even if you get autonomous vehicles, I think you have even more electronics.
And if we get autonomous vehicles, we're going to need smarter cities. So we're going to need more electronic infrastructure around those vehicles because, you can't trust them just to look all the time.
We talked to a company, it was out in the Midwest. It was an agricultural company, and it was the seeding machine. You pull behind a tractor. And the guy told us that what used to be, we would just drag it behind the tractor, you put the seeds out, it's probably too many seeds or not enough seeds. But now they have gone electronic, and it puts out the proper amount, so you don't have the waste or anything like that. And I would assume they're probably doing the same thing with the fertilizers too.
Yeah, and it's almost autonomous. They're using camera technology to choose where to put stuff.
To cut the corn or the plant or whatever.
So electronics in everything we do. Some of you mentioned the megatrends, the megatrend we've seen in terms of reshoring, and it feels like there's some reshoring. It feels like there's some cases where, as numbers get higher, they don't go offshore, which is equally valuable to companies like yours. The other big trend we're seeing is the challenge of recruiting talent. Talent seems to be an issue everywhere. Is that the case in your locations? And what's the answer to that? Is it a mixture of automation, a mixture of training?
So we here in Maryland, it has been a bit easier. We've been hiring, especially like for the professional staff. We've just been hiring engineers right out of school, training them up, and they've done really well. The entry level people, I think you're going to have to do the same thing. You're going to have to bring people in. You're going to have to pay them and train them.
Yeah.
Plus a lot of people, they still they believe that manufacturing is still kind of a dirty, kind of job.
Yeah. Then you got to get them through and show them the state-of-the-art facilities you've got, because surely then there's a little bit of a light bulb comes on and they can see that there are good, sustainable jobs out there.
Yes. One of the things that we have always done from the very beginning is to try to promote from within. So anybody that really has the hustle, we always give them opportunities. And any new job postings or anything we do, we always open it up to the current employees first. And they can apply for them. So that has worked out well for us, really well.
Yeah, I think that's important. And it's like you say, if they've got the hustle, you're prepared to invest in training them and prepared to create more opportunities and better opportunities for them, which is important. That's how you're going to retain.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, everybody just wants to feel good about what they do, right? It's not just a paycheck. I think it gets lost if you're just looking at it like that. If you feel like you're valuable, you're contributing to the company, I think you go home feeling good. Yeah. And I think that's important.
Yeah, that's hugely important, isn't it? And you talked a bit about the relationship with customers and the industries you work in. What do you think it is about ACDi now that makes you so compelling and sticky with those customers?
So when we got into manufacturing, so when we were just doing the PCB layout, we were always very, very customer focused. You always have changes. That there's always changes. Every design you ever do. Yep. And we try to bring that philosophy into the manufacturing. So, we try to be agile. We try to have a sense of urgency. To get the customer what they want, but at the same time, if they need to change, we always try to be flexible, and I think people tend to like that. Overall. Everybody can buy the machines. You can say, if you hire the best people, everything's going to be fine. But it is a certain philosophy that you have to take care of the customer, you have to be flexible, and you have to continue to, make sure that their needs are met.
Yeah. And I love that that comes from your experience as a PCB designer, because as I said before, that's where I started my career. One of the things that I think is interesting about ACDi is you seem to have a really strong focus now on digital transformation, on manufacturing excellence, and you're really driving, quality improvements. You're driving performance and efficiency improvements through that. You seem to have a really good team that's doing that. Is that something that you've focused on in the last decade?
We've always focused on technology and trying to keep up with the latest trends and things. I think as we've grown and become more profitable, it allows us to focus and reinvest in new equipment, new technology, new software, training for the people, and that has, I think, has helped the overall growth of the company. It really has.
Yeah, it pays dividends not just in delivering more profit to the bottom line, but also delivering better products and more reliability to your customers.
But I have seen manufacturing companies that don't reinvest, and you go into places and they're kind of junky looking. So to me, you have new component sizes come out. If you don't have the latest and greatest equipment, how are you going to do it? How are you going to inspect them? So all that technology plays into it, and I think the reinvestment, the training, all that is a big part of it.
Yeah, and you have a good partnership with your local representatives and certain equipment manufacturers. That's important to kind of tell them what you've got coming down the line, but also understand what they're seeing in the market and what they're delivering.
Yeah, that's correct. We standardize across all three factories the Co-Young products, the SPI and the 3D AOI. It allows us to share, the training back and forth, the expertise that we have here in Maryland, because we started with it here first. And when we went out to look at stuff, we evaluated a lot of different ones, and we had some. Competitor products were saying, "Oh, you're picking the wrong one because you're a low volume, high mix, and our machines are better." But we have been very, very satisfied with the Co-Young product.
Yeah, it seems to have done the job. And just as you invest in R&D, having partners that invest in R&D is equally important. You've grown to 3 facilities. What does the future look like in terms of strategy? We are, without giving away any secrets.
Yeah. We're not going to give it away. We're always looking for opportunities. When they present themselves, we like to evaluate them. I would love to get a place in Florida so I could spend part of my time in Florida, to be honest. But we kind of have the East Coast covered. It would be nice to have one down in Florida. We'd have the whole East Coast covered. And maybe at some point one on the West Coast.
Congratulations on growing the business to where it is today. Continued success, and thanks so much for talking to me.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.